very special occasion, being the 50th of the Melbourne to Hobart Yacht Race. And as you can see, we've got a good selection of boats on the wall there that will be taking part. So, okay, so for tonight, you're going to be hearing from me first. I'll give you a little quick run through on some of the history of the Melbourne to Hobart race. And then I'm going to invite our Commodore Cyrus Allen up to give you a quick chat. Jeremy will then be coming on to do the actual briefing, and it's what you're here for. Delma will give you an update of what you can expect when you finally get to Hobart and the activities that we have organised for you down there. Also in the room tonight is Paul Roberts. Paul, would you mind standing up for a second? Where are you? There he is. Paul's our club sailing captain, and also Jeff Sloan. You're here as well if you just stand up. Vice Commodore. So if you guys have any questions in relation to what's happening with your compliance and getting to the start line, so these are the two guys to come and have a chat to during or after we finish the presentation. Thanks, guys. Okay, so where it all began, 1972 was our first race, and back then it was instigated by two gentlemen, actually. Stan Gibson, who was then the Commodore, had to fight his committee in order to get the WestCoaster race off the ground. They managed to bring in Sir Donald Trescothick to be the chairman of the event. Now, Sir Donald, we invited him to attend tonight. Unfortunately, the gentleman is 94 years of age. He will be doing the start or pulling the starting gun on the start boat. So as you're jostling for the start of the race, please just go by and give him a wave. You're going to hear from him shortly. Last night I went down to his house and we got, I think, about 6 minutes of video. Absolutely gold. So now, Sir Donald had to also fight the ORCV committee as well, and so you're going to hear a little bit about that now. So,
Commodore Grant has asked me if I would be kind enough to tonight give you a pocket version of the history of the Melbourne to Hobart Race. He kindly said if I could have 2 minutes. Well, I know I'm the first talker, but 2 minutes I can't do, so I'll have to apologise for Commodore at a later time. But in the meantime, I did want to use the time, first of the time, to congratulate all of you on making this 50th race a very important race for yachting in Australia and maybe the world, and making a name for yourselves in the plaque that's erected at the ORCV office. On that plaque, all of the names of all of the sailors going down to Hobart will be mentioned. But now to return to the wishes of the Commodore. It was mid-1972 when my mate Peter Riddle, the sailor from Monterey, told me that I should meet with me and a man by the name of Stan Gibson. And he encouraged me to agree to a meeting. So I agreed with the meeting and said to him, "Who the hell is Stan Gibson?" And he said, "Well, you don't know him." I said, "Never heard of him." Well, he said, "He is the chairman, the Commodore of the ORCV." I said, "Well, who the hell is the ORCV?" And he told me that. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, I have learned a lot in 3 hours. So I was interested in what they had to say. I was interested in Stan. He became a very solid citizen in my mind. And he found that his committee was totally opposed to any yacht race down the west coast at that moment. He was the only person on the committee at the Commodore who was totally in favour of it and worked very hard to get it approved. So down the west coast we decided we had to go. I got somewhat interested because I had considerable interest in Tasmania at the time, one being Swan Insurance Limited, and I spoke to the managing director. He was also interested and agreed to a $1 million sponsorship fee, with the maximum of another $1 million if necessary at a future date. So that was all settled. The next thing we had to do, of course, was find 2 yachting clubs to take control the race in Melbourne and in Hobart. No trouble in Melbourne. We had the ORCV, and we had those very good friends of ours at the St Kilda Royals. Very good. They were always there, ready to assist at any time. So we spoke then to the Doing Sailing Squadron, and we have worked very closely with them in my 19 years as chairman, very close, and I'm sure in all the other years. And so we had, that was really, we had about then 6 months before the race started. So we had both of the clubs signed up in Melbourne and Hobart. I had made the point to both of them that never were we to be advertised as competition with the city of Hobart. We were to be complementary to the city of Hobart. We were to fill the gap and start the race in Melbourne. Some Adelaide people felt the same, and I heard Perth people doing the same. So it seemed we were supplying a good food, but never were we competition with city. That would have been quite wrong. So we had 6 months. We didn't have one entry for the race, and we were a long way to go before we had to start on the 27th of December. However, my steering committee got to work, and we certainly got things moving. And I believe with the assistance of both of the clubs, we had about 26 or 27 yachts. I think one thing Swan Insurance did with its couple of $1 million was enable us to set up some very strong foundations for this place. Those strong foundations stood us in very good stead for some of the nasty times we have felt during the 50 years. Wasn't all plain sailing, as you know, but we did get over those, and I think it was because we put the foundations down so strongly early. And we had men at the ORCV who were willing to put a bit of time and considerable effort into setting the race back where it should be. And I've been delighted to be invited to start the race this year. That's a great privilege and honour, which I do so much appreciate. So thank you all. I look forward to seeing you on the 27th of December, and hopefully I don't shoot you when I
So Donald is very much a character. He sort of, I think, muffled a little bit through that as he tried to deliver that speech. But afterwards, when I sat and chatted, I couldn't get away for about an hour. And the dialogue and information that he just kept giving out. I'm sorry I didn't have enough time to even edit that down and show you because it was just gold. So Donald was part of Swan Insurance, and also eventually he took over a homeware store down in Tasmania, which became Harris Scarf, built that up. He donated, I think, in a total of nearly, through his companies, $2.5 million to the WestCoaster race. So that's why I say, when you see him on that start boat, give him a big wave. He's also mentioned during that talk, and I'm not sure if you picked that up, that he wants to get a plant together with the names of everybody who enters this race, and so that it can go up at the ORCV's office, so it'll be there for a day. In addition to that, so Donald has donated a medal, a participation medal for everybody who takes part in this race. The only criteria is you have to get through the start line. And if you get to Hobart, you'll get one. But if you've gone through the start line and you have to turn around home, there'll be also one available for you as a memento. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they're up here at the front. So come and have a look at it, feel the weight of it. The other thing is just have a look at that boat that's on there. And you'll see a little bit later during this presentation that that's actually the original artwork of the first poster back in 1972. Interestingly, he also mentioned Peter Riddle, who was I think he's one of his CEOs down in Tasmania. He was actually on the Mary Blair, and they did that race and got won. And not a shabby time with 2 days and 16 hours. So pretty impressive for 1972. And that's the photograph that you quite often see that we put out on the media. This is the original poster, and you can see the artwork there, and that's what's sitting on will be sitting on your medals ready for you to pick up in Hobart. What was interesting is that before the race had even run, they figured that the boats would probably go to the west of King Island. As we know, only a handful of, actually I think only 2 boats. Nigel of Catamaran 7, are you here? Yes. You went west, I believe, of King Island and won the race that year. The only other person that I'm aware who went west of King Island and won was Matt Fahey. Matt, where are you? Down here in the front. Everybody else that's gone west of King Island has never done very well. But last year, 80% of the fleet actually went to the west of King Island. And so what we've done is we've created the West Club. And if anybody goes west of King Island, you can expect to have a certificate available for you when you arrive down there. But back in 1972, so Donald talked about the issues that he had with, and Stan Gibson had trying to convince the committee to get this race off the ground. The media at that stage was putting out things in the press saying that it's far too dangerous, you'll have loss of life. It's just not worth it. And so they had to fight very hard to get this race off the ground. And we're going to see a little bit more of this flavour coming through down the track. But by the next year, I think a little bit of that apprehension had died, and the Short family decided to pack up the kids and make a holiday out of doing the WestCoaster race. And what was interesting is that Andrew, who was 14 years of age, and Jonathan was 12. So imagine that happening today. Not. But the other son, Matthew, who was 18 at this stage, and that's Matthew there in the photograph, 35 plus years later, he would come back with a boat called Shortwave. And he set the race record of 1 day and 17 hours, 28 minutes and 59 seconds. So that race still stands today. So you guys have got a challenge on your hands. Let's see if we can break it this year. But anyway, I digress. By 1976, things were starting to look good for the WestCoaster race, and Miss WestCoaster was becoming a regular on the show. In fact, we actually brought back Miss WestCoaster. Actually, to be politically correct, we had a Mr. WestCoaster and a Miss WestCoaster. But what's your thoughts? A little bit of tongue in cheek. Should we have it again this year? Yes. No. Okay. Okay. I think we'll put that out to the committee at the back and see if that was a yes or a no. The criteria, by the way, is that you have to be just a good sport, have a good sense of humour, and not take it too seriously. Hot Prospect I think they've run the most consecutive wins from 77, 78, 79. And then Jim Searle came back with another boat called Relentless in 1980 and won again. So he holds a record, I think, for 4 consecutive wins. He was also at that stage through Sir Donald Trescothick and the funds that they had available. They created these Pro Half Incas, which were solid silver. And I think the last I heard that one of them was being used as a doorstop. But by the end of the 70s, everybody was wanting to get on the WestCoaster, including Qantas wanted to be seen with us going down that way. Jill Marshall was our first female skipper entrance, and she set the pace going forward. Now, by the 1980s, things were going well. The race was attracting a lot of attention, but we still couldn't shake the image of that earlier press where they were saying that it's too rough and we should not be going down the West Coast. About 3 years ago at our 70th, or the ORCV's 70th birthday, I showed a clip of this video, but I'm actually going to play it in full because I thought you guys would be interested. And this is how Channel 9 portrayed those going down to do the West Coast. And this was the introduction to the race.
This is best true. The very heart of the Melbourne to Hobart Yacht Race in 1985. A swirling call for nature's elements, unpredictable to say the least. That strait was witnessing a lot of voyages, and at the same time, a human way to study a handle river amid some of the most appalling shipwrecks in maritime history. The high winds, howling gales, and tough seas combined to make that strait one of the most complex and potentially dangerous areas of the Australian coast. Since the discovery of the strait has provided many challenges for the early explorers like Matthew Flinders and George Bass, who were first to circumnavigate Tasmania in small sloop. In 1800, the Lady Nelson was the first recorded ship to travel straight from east to west, and the ships of the early French explorers such as Hobart and Hobart Race successfully charted the region during the same period. We can see speaking of these waters during the early years of the 19th century, which resulted in the total extinction of many seal colonies within the strait. The yachts taking part in the Melbourne Hobart Yacht Race will not be the first race into the main Tasmania. Similar races were established over 70 years. One famous trophy, known as the Rugger Cup, was won in 1907 by a 17-ton yacht known as this. The 50-foot Rambler and the 38-foot Alita, both from the Security Yacht Club, also took part in the race, which nowadays is more commonly known as the WestCoaster. As these yachts approach the reef off Port Phillip Heads, they will be entering one of the most dangerous shipping channels in the world. More than 100 ships, both large and small, have been totally wrecked here since as far back as the 1840s. In 1853, the Sacramento went down with 60,000 pounds worth of freight. Well-known P&O line of Australia became a total loss at the heads in 1904. And the local ship Cooley collided, Fortunato Figo, in very deep fog on Christmas morning, 1903. Incidentally, it was here at Point Clear that the first shots in aim were fired by big guns during the First World War. As the ships proceeded through the heads across the Kenai, they will sail over the memory of the famous old ship, the Madagascar, the Lochmarlie, and the Salmon, all of which went missing, never to be seen again. The waters become even more challenging. During the 19th century, the reefs surrounding this historic part of Australia claimed over 600 miles. Strait can sometimes be masked by tranquil and gentle swells. Yet most seafarers know the character of that strait as that of being relentless. But now, 8 years on from the original Rugger Cup, the knowledge of the sea, the technology of yachting, and the asset of communication that were denied to the navigators and shipowners of the past have paved the way towards achieving the ultimate prize, victory over the strait. And today, on the occasion of the 1985 Melbourne to Hobart Yacht Race, men and women will again sail out into that strait, seeking that very prize.
So that's how Channel 9 portrayed what you guys are about to. Delma, everyone's paid their money, haven't they? They've been running for the door after watching that video. But a swirling cauldron, I don't think it's quite that bad. But who here is doing the race for the first time? Excellent. Who's done more than 10? Excellent. Back for more. So I think they'll tell you that it's not as bad as it's portrayed, but that sort of image is one of the images that we've been trying to shape for a long time. So anyway, as we went from the 80s and moved into the course of the 90s, our most successful race ever was the 25th race on the Melbourne to Hobart, where we had 2 fleets consisting of 90 boats taking part. Those going to Devonport and those going down the West Coaster. But moving on now, Hobart is, of course, where we all want to end up. So just a quick couple of things before I get Cyrus up here. When you arrive in Hobart, you're going to be coming through the finish line. Once you've gone through the finish line, get your sails down, get your fenders out, get your mooring lines. You will be parking European style back into Elizabeth Street, and Jeremy will be talking a little bit more about that. Then once you've actually got the boat secured and comfortable, get all the crew up on deck, for those that haven't done this race or done a Hobart race before, and make your way down towards the Taste of Tasmania building. So do a sail past there first, before you make your way back to the Elizabeth Street to actually moor. And this is what you can expect. And of course, as you get to Elizabeth Street, you'll then be backing in there. And this is probably one of the things that you're probably going to remember the most, is that unlike some of the other races where you get down to Hobart and you don't know the boat beside you, you're going to be welcomed in, because all the other crews will give you 3 cheers, pat you on the back, and the camaraderie that gets developed down there on Elizabeth Street is quite extraordinary. You're going to remember this for the rest of your life. Also, you're going to have the right to wear the yellow cap. And I think that's probably one of the most prized hats that we have in sailing. I've seen people that have had those hats for what seems like decades. And what's interesting about a yellow cap is that actually the longer you wear it, it actually looks better with age by the time it's been through a few. So, and also, of course, we'll be presenting you, for those that get down there, we'll be presenting you at that stage with the Sir Donald Strathcoffey's Participation Medal. Delma's going to talk a little bit more about the village that's being set up for you down there and the entertainment and functions that are going to happen, but that's at the end of Elizabeth Street Pier. But while we're waiting for a presentation to happen, Customs House tends to rock, I think, nearly 24 hours a day. What do you think, Paul? Yeah, I think you'll find most of the West Coast crews in Customs House, and that place just absolutely pumps. And then on January the 1st, make your way up to the Shipwright Arms Hotel at Battery Point, because they put a band on there, and you'll find the rest of the West Coast crew in there. And if anyone wants to know the reason for Nick's comment, just Google Facebook Nick McGuigan and underwear. Excellent. So before I finish up, you've heard from Sir Donald Trescothick at the start of the race. I was wondering what the race holds for the future. So I jumped onto a site that I use a little bit called OpenAI. Now, OpenAI is a research artificial intelligence site. If you want to think of it, Siri and Amazon Alexa, if you think of them as a person, they're probably at age 3 or 4 in their sense of reasoning. The OpenAI is at about an age of 17. So, in fact, it actually scores 20% above the average student in an SAT exam in America. So it's quite significant. So I thought I would ask it a very simple question to find out. And I would say, you know, write me a poem about the Melbourne to Hobart yacht race and crank some artwork to go with it. Now, what you're about to hear was not generated by a person. It was generated by a computer based on the knowledge that it had. The artwork that you're about to see that goes with it, it does not exist until the moment it was created. Quite remarkable for an intelligent thing. So, OpenAI, take it away.
The waves crash against the shore as sailors prepare to set sail. The Melbourne to Hobart Race is on, and the adventure is about to unfold. With skill and determination, they step off into the night, bravely facing the challenges of the sea and wind's might. The journey is long and difficult, but the sailors are strong and true, pushing their boats to the limit as they race to make it through. Through storms and rough seas, they navigate their way, determined to reach the finish line and claim the prize of the day. In the end, only a few will prevail, but all will have stories to tell of the Melbourne to Hobart Race and the adventures they lived through hell. For the sailors of the Melbourne to Hobart, the journey is not just about the wind, but about the challenges of sailing on sea and letting their spirit within.
So that's what the future, I don't always think of you guys, but clearly I think that AI has been watching way too much Channel 9, so we'll have to see if we can get that algorithm adjusted a little bit. But anyhow, let me call up now Cyrus to present the rest.
Fantastic. So you now all know why we didn't have that video when we were starting to ask people to join the race. I don't know how many would join it if they thought it was going to be, what was it, boiling seas and tumultuous waves? Though I have heard some of those stories. Thank you very much, Grant. That was an excellent overview, and I'm sure that everybody here is really excited about entering the 50th WestCoaster. I'd really like to welcome the skippers and the navigators here tonight and those joining us interstate via Teams or Zoom, and to acknowledge the work that you've each done to prepare your crews and your boats for this epic race, and to thank you for getting on board with the ORCV to celebrate what is a landmark year for us. There's a special mention, I think, for our interstate friends. It's a long way to come to go to Melbourne and then go down to Tasmania. From Tasmania, we have Advantage, Cromarty Magellan, Invincible, Jazz Player, Rumbeat and Salient. South Australia, we're pleased to have Audacious and Enchantress. And from New South Wales, Fika and Quest. And I will say that Quest, I know that you've got your long numbers, but you're entered down on our race list as being a New South Wales boat. So we'll call it half-half if that's okay. Okay, in such a special year where we're celebrating both the 50th race and the 50th anniversary, we are really pleased to have over 50 boats joining us on the start line. What a competition it's going to be this year. And those competitors are going to be fighting it out for that amazing trophy you can see to the left-hand side, the Hinge mark. And if it's not the Hinge mark for the overall winner, it will be one of the other lovely pieces of silverware. So it'll be an intense competition, and we think that this year is going to be both an amazing start experience, a great down the coast experience, and of course finishing together in Hobart will just be wonderful. There are many boats and also skippers naturally who have completed this race and who have taken away some of this silverware, and we have some of them with us here again tonight, joining us for the 50th. And so in celebration of their sort of past commitment and entering again this year, we'd like to acknowledge their successes and ask some of them to come forward, please. Now, you know probably who you are because we planted you close to the front. But we'd love you to come up as I read out your name, please, and come up and stand next to the trophy just in front of the sponsors banner, okay? So Nigel Jones, one of our skippers who has attempted the race on different boats, first in 1990 as the skipper of Paladin, and then in 1999 together with Cam McKenzie, where they were the only finishers on Cuttybarra 7. Tavaki too, we know that Angus Fletcher sadly is no longer with us, but Paul will be representing the boat this evening, and he'll be coming up to really sort of celebrate all of the great racing that Tavaki too has done in the past under Angus's leadership. And in fact, I know that you're going to be working hard to try and recover some of the past glories. I think it was the 2012 and 2013 that you guys won. Justin Brennan, where are you, Justin? Over there. Really knows the road down to Hobart via the West Coast very, very well. And being overall winner in 2009, 2011, 2017, along with about 4 other podium places, Justin certainly knows what he's doing. From South Australia, we have John Muirhead on Enchantress's back. He cleaned up in all divisions in 2010. Paul Buchholz, I beg your pardon, skippered the earlier Ecstasy to an overall win in 2015. And though there have been a number of Cuttybarras who have participated in the race, it was Paul Roberts, who is our current sail captain, on Cuttybarra 8, who was the overall winner in 2016. In 2019, one of the slower races where the crews saw rare glass around the West Coast, it was Jeff Sloan, our current Vice Commodore on Archie, and Mr. Matt Fay. Where are you, Matt? Hey. Matt Fay on Faster Forward will be trying to get a back-to-back win after, as Grant pointed out earlier, taking the last one by going around the west coast of King Island, surprising everybody and clearing away the silverware. So, gentlemen, would you please come up to the front? We would love a photo op in front of the trophy. Well done. Now, if you can remain there, gentlemen, just for a sec, please, thank you. And everybody else be upstanding. I'm hoping that most people still have their wonderful glass of bubblies. Or is that too much to hope? Handing them out at the very start and hoping that you've still got some left. Well, we can do a real toast and a virtual toast. So as we're racing down towards the Apple Isle, our toast will be appropriately in bubbles from the Apple Isle. Okay. And in fact, we're very happy to be drinking tonight Willie Smith apple cider, the wonderful juice that we've got here. I don't know if you know Willie Smith, but born of 4 generations of apple farmers. They're from the Huon Valley, some of the freshest and sweetest air that you'll find in the world. And in fact, I think many of you will get a lungful of that in 2.5 weeks' time as you head down the coast. So everybody, let's toast to the first 50 years of the WestCoaster and the crews, skippers and boats who are undertaking this epic voyage. Cheers. Before you go, there is one last thing. As we know, it takes a heck of a lot of effort, planning and teamwork to get an event like this underway. So at this point, I would really like to recognise the great efforts of the ORCV team who have worked tirelessly over the last 12 months to bring together tonight the event that you're seeing, but of course, importantly, the race start and the race finish that you'll be experiencing in a couple of weeks' time. Together with our partner organisations, I'm talking here particularly around our race partners, the Royal Melbourne Yacht Squadron and the Royal Brighton Yacht Squadron, and of course the Derwent Sailing Squadron. We really appreciate all of the time and effort that you put into making these things a reality, because without you, we wouldn't be sailing these great events. So to our organising team and our volunteers, cheers and thank you very much. So with that, we now get on to the interesting part of the brief around technical details of the race. Jeremy, please come up.
Thank you. So that's all the exciting stuff done, and now you have to listen to me. Just reflecting on some of the stuff that Grant said about the early history of whether or not we should do the race. We didn't do ourselves any favours in the early 2000s when I don't know, those, some of you in the room will remember this, but our catchphrase was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So I also would like to thank the people. The race directors is Ray Shaw for the start, as normal. Race directors for the overall race are myself and David Schuller. David's down the back there. It's his first race, so we'll be kind to him. Tim is obviously the media manager, Delma Events and the organisation at the end. Rick Head, who's probably our most experienced IMT lead, is doing this race. And I'd really like to thank Sally and Kylie from the office for the effort they've put in. You yachties can be difficult to get along with. And this is the only thing I'm going to touch on compliance. It was amazing the amount of people who saw me today and went, oh, I'll just quickly email Jeremy my passage. So the comms. Now, this race is very different in terms of communication. So I would urge you all to have a very good look at Appendix A. We're using different channels at different times. So they're 9 a.m. and 2000. So completely different. The emails, obviously, and phone numbers and those sort of things, and overnight coverage are all there, as well as the weather services. What I might encourage, well, a suggestion is perhaps because they are different channels that you're not used to using, a little laminated sheet next to your radio with, this channel is here on my radio. This one is here on my radio. So at 9 o'clock at night, you're not suddenly having a, which channel should I be on? As always, there's a lovely summary for you laid out in the sailing instructions of what and when and at what times. Some final points. So there will be the normal sign on. It'll be done. We'll ask you, as always, to reply with your yacht name. You are a starter. You comply with the notice of race, and you've got X persons on board. It'll be HF first, and then sat phone guys on 82. Just a reminder for the HF guys, if your POB is different than what we have, Ray will contact you on 82 after the skeds to say, okay, I've got 8, you've said 7, which one is it? And invariably every year somebody goes, it says 6, and the other guy's in the loop. So just keep that in mind. The sat phone positions this year, I've just asked for the position at the time of reporting. We used to do I'm here now and I think I'll be here in 10 minutes. That was always pretty vague, so in the interest of making things less complicated, it's just one position where you are. Trackers, please turn them on after you've finished Cock of the Bay or you've got to wherever you're staying for the night, and check that they are pinging. And if you have any difficulties, give me a call. It's your responsibility to make sure. I don't want to be chasing 50 boats on the morning to say, have you turned your tracker on, please? There's a lovely how-to, use them on the website. They will be charged, but I would highly recommend taking a little micro USB cable with you to charge it just in case. Unfortunately, the way the trackers get charged has changed this year. They charge per calendar month. So if you want to bring it back with you, there will be a fee. It's on the declaration form that you tick, yes, I want to bring it back and I'm happy to pay. For the Tassie boats and interstate boats, we'll collect them in Hobart, obviously because it's not practical for them to go home. And we need them back in the office no later than the end of January, please. They also have, if you read the how-to, they have the ability to send an SMS message. So I would... that'll be up to Ray on the day. It's not bad short. I wouldn't want to be trying to talk to Tassie on it, but it's okay in here. If it doesn't work, we'll change, don't worry. Okay, so, and it all depends on what the sun's doing at the time. You know what HF is, it's like a black art at the best of times. Okay. No, exactly. So just going back to the tracker, so it can SMS, so there's no excuse for missing a sked. I know the sailing instructions only came out today, but you might note there are some penalties in there for missing 1, some penalties in there for missing 2, and some penalties in there for missing 2 in a row, and the 2 in the row one is DSQ. Get into the start if you're from Blairgowrie. Most of you will have been up this channel. Just be aware, there are dragons out to sea of it. In other words, not enough water. So take your time. Invariably, somebody gets stuck going up here. So please think about it. If you need to go around the long way because of depth, think about when you're going to leave. Now, the start line's different as well for, I think, probably most people in this room. So because of the number of boats in the fleet, we've decided to go with one line with Division 1 inside and Division 2 outside to try and keep you a bit more separated. The committee boat will be in the middle, which is what I will be on. So Don will be on the start boat at the end of the Division 2 line. And he does, in fact, it's not a gun, he's got a cannon. So his threat of shooting you mightn't be that unreal. So have a good think about that. There's plenty of water there, but you need to think about it. So in summary, this is, I was talking to Paul about this just yesterday. These races have got a lot more complicated than they used to be. It used to be start, get out the heads, go to Tassie, finish. And that was about what the sailing instructions said. But it's a bit more complicated now. So it'll be from the start. There's a pink spherical buoy, it's Freudian slip, off Shortland Bluff where it always is. And Gary from the Coast Guard will have his boat there so you can clearly see where it is. Round that to port, out the heads, not in the exclusion zone, and then to the finish in the Derwent River. Then there's a bit more about, I won't read this again, about position reports, just remembering they're only twice a day for this race. So for those who are unfamiliar, so this is, so the exclusion zone is basically the main shipping channel, which we keep out of. That's an arrangement we've had with the port. And it's been a very, very good arrangement. We had occasionally, many years ago, had boats straight in front of ships, which the port didn't like very much. So we came together, and this is one of the crucial things that allows us to do our start inside and go through the head. So please respect it. You must take a photo of your track going out here, and if I ask for it, you need to send it to me. And you can see where the pink buoy is. That's it's approximate, but it'll be about there where it always is. Declaration at 41 degrees south. Again, this is in the sailing instructions at A12, but in short, what it is the skipper considering a radio or sat phone is fully operational. I've still got my life rafts, my engine and batteries work. The crew is still in a satisfactory condition, and I've looked at the weather and decided, yes, I can proceed. The full details of how you let us know that are in A12, but it's an important declaration. Finishing. So at the iron pot, please SMS me. And then 10 minutes before the finish, please give us a call on VHF 73. To make things less complicated for you when you're in the river, we've decided this year that once you get around the iron pot, you no longer have to do skeds. So that's something less to do as you're coming up the river. And the battery point box will take your time, but I'd ask you also as skippers to record your finish time as always, just in case. Not if you're not first. If you're first, yes. If you're not first, no. Yes, usually they do, yes, but I don't rely on it. Just make sure. So the finishing line. This again is all in the sailing instructions, and I've put a little line on there for that's what it looks like. One of the things I would suggest you all do, or get your navigators to do, is put that line on your chart plotter. Invariably, what happens when you come into Hobart is you're exhausted from the race. We all have a tendency to get up as soon as we get around the iron pot and think we're finished. Sometimes that finish is 2 hours. Sometimes that finish is 10 hours. And invariably, nobody goes back to the roster system when you're in the river. And if you've ever been finished at night, that part of the coast is covered in lights. And it's all, and even if you've done the race before, which I have many times, I still get about halfway up the river and go, where's the battery point box? So just as an experience tip, putting that line in so you can see where it is won't go astray. Weather. one stage we had the long range forecast in here. I took it out because none of you would go. Not because you're going to get a lot of wind, because currently it says you're going to have no wind at all. But it's a long way out still, so we will start talking about the weather 3 days out. And obviously, at the moment, the long range, if you have a look, there's a dirty great high sitting there. The compulsory weather briefing will be held online on the morning of the 27th at 7:30. That's early enough for the big boats to have their time to get around and go back around the other way to come in. And the skipper and navigator must attend this briefing, please. Final word, any major postponement, we'll SMS you. It'll be a minimum of 3 hours as normal. Minor, we'll let you know on 82. Timing reminders, sat phone at 11:05, HF at 11:15, 11:45 shipping advice, 12 o'clock's the start. There'll be a lot, given this race and the publicity that the media team has done, there's going to be a lot of spectator vehicles, boats and motor yachts. Just give them a wave, but beware, they are unpredictable, to say the least. Final word again, it's a 435 nautical mile race. Don't do anything silly on the finish line, on the start line. It's 2017, we had some white line fever, which resulted in 3 boats from memory not being able to complete the race because they ran into each other on the start line. Don't do that. Again, think about your head's exit, depending on the prevailing conditions, it can be interesting, depending on which way it's trying to push you towards Lonsdale or away. And just think about overnight, especially the first night, don't beat yourselves up. So the fastest way to sail is flat. That might involve having a reef in, even though, you think, oh, I don't need to reef at 18 knots. Just think about maybe you do. And remember, obviously, rule 3, the responsibility to race or to continue to race is the boats and the boats alone, which invariably means a consultation between the skipper and the crew, but worth thinking about. Berthing in Hobart. This year, because of the size of the fleet, it's a combination of Elizabeth Street Pier, mainly for the deeper draft boats, and inside Constitution Dock, which I think has been a major win for the media and marketing team this year, negotiating to get us in there. That'll be a fantastic experience. I've been in there previously, and it's really nice to be in there. We'll give you, before you leave, an idea about which area you're going to be in. After you've finished and you've played with the Taste of Tassie, which is, I think that clip you played, Ground, probably downplays how loud it really is when you go past there. They go off, especially if you finish sort of anywhere after 6 o'clock at night when they're well lubricated. The escort vessel will be operating on VHF 9. And there's some other details about. One of the things, please do not get tempted to drop people off at Customs House. It's happened before. And then we've had boats get to, I haven't got enough people left on board to tie my boat up safely. So first thing you do is go and raft up and secure your boat. You can tell I've been to Hobart too many times going in. So don't leave till you're rafted up, because there are a lot of lovely things that are going to happen when you do raft up, which Delma is going to come and tell us all about.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, you've all made it down to Hobart, and one of the things when we started this process nearly 2 years ago is we went out and asked people who's done the race and what memorability do you have. Astoundingly, the things that came out were photos, and photos with people looking like this, with medals around their necks, and medals were something over and over again that were actually presented to us. So when you get to Hobart, we're looking at creating memories. You made it, we want to record it. And so before you go off to Customs House, before you run off, please, we're a team of volunteers down in Hobart working through the night, dealing with 50 boats. You might all arrive at the same time, so please be patient and wait for us. There is a process that we are running down there to create the memories for yourselves and ourselves for the years to come. We ask you once you get in to raft up, and you may be asked to push over. So please push over very close, because we have a lot of boats to get onto Elizabeth Street. It's going to be extended in length with pontoons to allow you easy access off. Secure your boat. Then we're going to do photographs. By all means, if you're waiting, get your boat tidied up and be patient with our volunteers. We've got battle flags in your bags at the back that you're going to be picking up, and we ask you, those battle flags, we would like you to fly them down in Hobart and also at Blairgowrie for those people that are coming into Blairgowrie. You can get your declarations done and work out if you're going to hire your trackers. Our team will come along, and then we'll do your photographs and take the opportunity. See the names over here? We've gone to the effort of actually taking these name boards, which we'll pass to you as well as the goodies on arrival. And these will stay on the back of your boat after the photographs are actually taken as well. So take the time, invest in your memories and help us out, please. Could I also put a call out to, it is a volunteer organisation that we run here. There's a small team of us down in Hobart with 50 boats, and if you all arrive at the same time in a couple of hours, we're going to be hell of busy. So if you have support crew that are waiting around in Hobart, get them to drop into the van and let us know, because we could do with some help. And maybe they could give us an hour or two of their time. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so feel free to get out of your wet weather gear, pop your race t-shirts on, get ready for your photograph to be taken and your goodies to be passed over. And then once we've done all of that, you're then free to go. We have had the amazing support of Willie Smith Cidery down in Hobart. When you get to Hobart, you will be given another battle flag, and that will be a Willie Smith battle flag. Part of the arrangement that we have with the Derwent Sailing Squadron is that we will be flying the Willie Smith battle flag as well as our own. So we do require every boat to put up the battle flag that you've got in your pack, plus the Willie Smith when you arrive. It is part of the arrangement that we have with our sponsors and our host down in Hobart. So please, we'd like you to do that. Down in Blairgowrie, don't forget to fly the 50th Hobart. It's a great opportunity for us to actually see very clearly also in the marina where you all are. There have been many opportunities over the last 6 months that and I must thank every crew and skipper who have made themselves available when we pick up that phone and ask you for an interview. We ask you for photos and we ask things of you. We can't do it without you. So we do thank you very much. We hope down in Blairgowrie that we'll be able to photograph your crew before you leave as well. And we will have some photographers on the water as you're going. The presentation in Hobart, please attend. At the end of Elizabeth Street, we will be holding the presentation. Willie Smith Cider have created a village, and it will be called an apple orchard by the sea. They can take up to 650 people. They've created apple trees, big cider barrels for us, and they'll have music playing and they'll have a bar there all the time. So you don't necessarily have to go over to Customs House to meet people, but come back and use the village, please, as a meeting point. We will be holding the presentation at the end of Elizabeth Street in that village, and we are open. It's open for any supporters to also come along. We do ask, though, that if you're part of the race, pop on your race t-shirt, put your medal around your neck and your yellow cap on. You're allowed to wear your cap in that bar and come along, please. Brand yourself, because once again, as you can see here, if you brand yourself and you're a winner, we're going to be taking your photo as well. For those that come along, we do, your supporters, bring them along as well. Okay, another little reminder, this weekend, the container will be filled. Stoke and Bell, the address is up there. It's actually on the FAQs of the website under the WestCoaster. It is a volunteer arrangement that we have with Stocks and Bell, and Doug is volunteering his time. He arrives early in the morning, but he said to me, if they arrive at 5 to 12, I've gone home for lunch. So could I suggest that you actually make sure you turn up by 11:30 to help duck out? So Saturday the 17th and Sunday the 18th in the morning. And Brad, do you mind just filling that, please? Once again, it was emailed out to the skippers last week that there is a declaration form, a packing declaration form that must be completed. Very, very important that you turn up with that completed, everything labelled, and make sure that you have emptied fuel cans, gas bottles, that you have also asked your crew to make sure that they do not include pressurised cans, whether it be shaving foam, aerosols, deodorant. They are all considered to be dangerous goods, and that will be a problem with our shipping container. So have a look at that declaration, have it ready to go. And any interstate cruise, we will be making a one-on-one arrangement up until close of business of the 21st to get your gear into the van. If you arrive after the 21st, unfortunately, you'll need to keep the stuff on board or make other arrangements because of Christmas and Toll, who's now called Straight Link, their arrangements of getting the container, we have to work with them. Okay, down in Hobart, you will be given a key for the container. And we ask you, it will be around at the Derwent Sailing Squadron in a public area. Please make sure that if you go into the container to get your gear, that you relock that container after you leave. All gear must be out of the container by the 2nd of January because the container will be picked up and it won't be coming back to Melbourne. So who knows where your gear will end up if it's still in there. Okay, recording your journey along the way. It's always really interesting. You're out there on the water, and I don't know whether you've ever thought about what we're like as a media team when you're out in the water. We're trying to create stories out of, you know, maybe you're scared or what we can see on the weather, and you sit there and you think, oh, what can I really say this time that's interesting? If you will have coverage coming down the coast, and if there's any opportunities, send us through any photos that you may have. We will have photographs and video drone at the start and the finish of the race this time. And we have lined up for Richard Bennett he's going to camp at Port Davey and then fly over the fleet as you're around Port Davey to create images like we have on the screen here at the moment. Richard will be providing some of those images for some of our media recaps along the way. He will also make those images available for you, and you can find him over in the King Stream Pier. So different ways that you can share depending on your poison of how you would like to actually share information with us. You can send it to media. You can use WhatsApp and take a note of my phone number because you can just WhatsApp it straight to me. I will create a group closer to the time, but you can WhatsApp it straight to my mobile. You can tag us. And the tags that we have for Facebook are the @ORCV or Instagram is @ORCV_racing. So just tag us, no need to use hashtags, just tag us and we'll pick those things up as well through your media. Clean oceans. We love our ocean and we want to protect it. We would like you to think about before you go out about the recycling that you're going to do on board, how you're going to actually feed people, trying to keep the plastics out of the ocean that we've got, keep your single-use plastics down. To that extent, this year, we are not doing bow stickers. You will have a backstay flag in the back in your bag. We'd ask you to put that on because that identifies on the water at the start that you are a boat who is racing in amongst what could be quite a busy start line. So please make sure that you've got your backstay on. But the bow stickers, we don't want to put plastics that the bow stickers that wash off and have them wash up onto a beach somewhere. So this year, no bow stickers and backstays. There's one other thing. Matt Fay, put your hand up here. Matt's going to be organising a cruise back in company for anybody that would like to come up the West Coast. All you need to do, it's an unofficial arrangement. Just contact Matt and say, I'm interested. And then Matt will actually coordinate that for you. We can't do this race without our sponsors. We have a number of sponsors. We've had some Willie Smith cider today. Ron Stan, who have sponsored our shirts. and we'll have some beautiful gear at the end of the race. So come along to our presentation because we're going to have some special prizes there, and Ronstan have got some special prizes to give away. Your container is, there's no charge for the container because that's part of our sponsorship with Straight Link and National Players. And once again, Doyle's have come on board to also provide some major sponsors. Okay, I'm going to hand back to Grant. Thank you.
Thanks, Norma. Jeremy, if you'd like to come up here, has anyone got any questions regarding those? So we've got one in the back there.
Weather briefing.
Simon will be doing a weather briefing, I think 3 days out, if that's correct, Simon. And
So yes, 27th is not in person, it's online.
okay,
That's compulsory.
But yes, it is compulsory.
down the back.